Hello and welcome to Talk of Good Games, the match preview. West Ham United against Manchester City. The Premier League is back. And Gonzo, kick it off as always. Can I get your thoughts on our opponents, please?
Yeah, outstanding football team, Geo. The manager, I really like the manager. I know he's got the money to spend, and he's always been at the big clubs. And yes, we've never seen him. Can he do it at Accrington Stanley on a cold Tuesday night? We don't know. I'm talking about managing Accrington Stanley, by the way. I'm pretty sure Man City can beat Accrington Stanley. That all being said, I like him. I think he's classy. Every time I see him interviewed, I really like it. A lot of people say they don't like the bit of the respect between them and Liverpool. I don't mind. I do like some mind games, but it doesn't always have to be the top clubs doing it. I did enjoy Wenger and Fergie and latterly Mourinho going at it, but I quite like the respect between the two clubs. I think it's quite nice. They are a sort of level above everybody else, aren't they? Little switcheroo this season, it seems. Some players out, some players in. So quite a few players out, actually, and I do wonder if he's going to have a little tactical something going on, a little sprinkling of stardust. He does like to change players' positions, does funny things with the fullbacks and all that. I just wonder if there's some, I don't know, ingenious new concepts going to be hoisted upon the Premier League this season.
I think them sort of praising each other is mind games to some extent. It's sort of like putting the pressure on each other as well, isn't it? When Liverpool's... Sure. When Klopp's putting the praise on Pep and Manchester City and saying how good a team they are, it's basically saying, well, go on then, go and show it. You've got to do it now. We're just going to, they always keep moving the pressure backwards and forwards. So while it is respectful, and I quite like it as well, I do think it's also, I think there's an element of mind games in there as well. It's interesting build-up for their summer, though. Only 2 pre-season friendlies, which is a bit unusual, really, for a Premier League team. They've obviously had the Community Shield as well, so they've had 3 games in the summer prior to this one. Probably largely down to the fact that half their squad were involved in the Nations League, so their summer would have been quite quick and short, off to the USA for the tour. So a bit of a build-up. But like you said, a lot of transfer activity. Let's go over the Manchester City transfer dealings so far. They're not quite finished yet. I think we can expect them to get a left-back. However, they haven't got that left-back as yet. So Zinchenko, Sterling and Jesus as left. So what do you make of the outgoings, first of all?
Well, immediately, as you know, we discussed it on another video, I feel that they've lost their pace. Not all the pace. I'm not saying they've a team of cloggers, right? I'm not saying they have no fast players in their team, but the outright players. I always thought Sane, who has obviously gone before this window, and then Sterling provided the outright pace. Now, the thing is, it's not like there are a lot of teams who play a massively high line against Manchester City. So you need, so they always need that. Generally, they don't. Just the way they play, their general build-up is enough to score goals against opposition teams. But sometimes you need a little bit of that. So, I was surprised at that. Obviously, Haaland is very quick, but it's in a different area, isn't it? I know Jesus probably will predominantly play through the middle for Arsenal, but he was deployed an awful lot on the right as well. But he seems to be going a different way. Grealish is a very, very different player to Raheem Sterling, even though by and large they will more or less play most of their Man City careers on the left side of the attack, if you like. So, I think that's interesting. Zinchenko, not surprised. I don't ever think he was in City's... I wouldn't even say it was ever at any point would I put him in the top 10 of City's players. I would have always been able to pick, I think, 10 other players at Manchester City better than Zinchenko. So for that reason, I'm not surprised he's gone. Sure he'll do really well at Arsenal, who are probably themselves going to play a little funky system with the fullbacks as well. Arteta obviously has worked with those guys before, Jesus and Zinchenko. So, interesting. That's why I think he might be looking to go another way. Don't rule out Sterling pushing that deal as well, though, because Sterling has ceased to become the first name on the team sheet, if there is such a thing, at Man City. So I think he wanted to be the main man, and he's good enough to be the main man at a football club, just perhaps not at Manchester City.
Yeah, with Zinchenko and Jesus, I look at it and I think, that's a good sale and a good purchase for Arsenal. I think it works for all 3 parties, the buying club, the selling club, and the player himself. And I think Jesus in particular will really benefit. He's been in unbelievable form in pre-season, but I've always felt from the first day that transfer was confirmed that was a really good signing for Arsenal, because I know that Vickery spoke about how the Brazilian coach had a conversation and said, well, what are you? Are you a striker or are you a winger? And Jesus said, I don't know. And he said, well, you must know. What are you? And he said, well, on the wing then, please. I think give him 12 months, 18 months at Arsenal, and the Brazilian coach asks the same question as Jesus, I think he's going to get a much different answer and a much more definitive answer as well, which is, I'm a number 9, thank you. I think at the Emirates, you'll get the goals, you'll get the confidence, you'll get the arm around the shoulder from Arteta, and he won't quite be rotated as much as he was at Manchester City. So I think them two make sense. But the Sterling one, I think, is a gamble from Man City and Pep Guardiola. I get it, like you said, with Raheem Sterling, with his contract running down, I get why the move has happened. But I do think he's a top player, and I think he's one of these players that get way too much criticism, and usually it's because he misses a lot of the chances. And if you were to sort of watch Manchester City's game or match of the day, I wouldn't be surprised that every single week Raheem Sterling's on it for the wrong reasons, which is 6 yards out, putting it past the post or something. But I always say to you, I'll say it again, the timing the run, reading the game, the positioning, that is much the hardest thing to do. And if you're doing that consistently in 90 minutes, you are a top player. But I saw Sadio Mane and Mo Salah miss loads of chances for Liverpool. I will again for Bayern Munich and Liverpool this season. But because they're so good, they can afford to miss 1 or 2 chances because they will get 3 in a game because they are that good. I just think Sterling's runs off the defender's shoulders, even from the 18-yarder to the 6-yard line, was unbelievable. I think it's a fantastic signing for Chelsea and a bit of a gamble from City, actually. But they have brought in 3 players, but out of 3 players they brought in, only 2 are sort of prominent. However, they've also got the inclusion of Alvarez, who they signed back in January. So they've got Callum Phillips, Erling Haaland, and Alvarez joining up the squad for next season. What do you make of their incomings?
Well, it's easy just to look at Haaland, but I think there's going to be an awful lot of pressure on Haaland. I think Alvarez is the sneaky one in many respects. I think he may well be the reason why the other sales were sanctioned. I think there's a bit more flexibility in the way that he plays. You're not going to see Haaland. I mean, I say Pep Guardiola likes to change a player's position. You ain't going to see Haaland playing in central midfield. He's not going to be trying any of those Philip Lahm type stunts on that one, whatever, right? But I do feel that the Argentinian lad looks a very, very good player. And I think it's almost created a perfect storm for him to thrive because all the attention is going to be on Haaland. It's a weird one. 2 outstanding young talents. We've seen Messi and Ronaldo dominate for years, right? And then you get these 2 outstanding young talents coming through. And I mean in Haaland, and I mean Mbappe, of course. I know that the midfielder, whatever his name is, Barcelona is very, very good as well. What is his name, by the way?
Which one you're referring to? Pedri?
Pedri, skillful player. Pedri, very skillful player. But if we put it on forwards, they're the 2 outstanding players. So it's not only the expectation is really, really high on him. Not only is he expected to do well, I think he's expected to be the best player in the Premier League. Right? There are a lot of people looking at him to do that. Whoa, that's a hell of a lot of pressure. And we talk about the mind games. That's a hard one to play down, even for Pep Guardiola. And I think that creates a perfect environment for Alvarez to come in there and say, actually, there's no pressure on me. Most people don't even probably know the fee, right? So, I mean, they don't know who he is. They don't know the fee. Wouldn't be surprised if after 6 or 7 games, he might have scored more goals than Haaland. And let's get this right. I'm not saying Haaland is a bad player. I think he's fantastic. But you don't know. We don't know yet how he responds to pressure. We don't know yet. And what I will tell you now is even though Pep Guardiola will not change his position and turn him into a midfielder, obviously I'm being flippant with that. If he doesn't work out, he will drop him. Pep will do that. Pep's favourite player is De Bruyne. I think it's fair to say that. He'll drop De Bruyne if he's not. So, this is going to be really, really interesting. But Phillips, I mean, he's tailor-made for it, isn't he, really? That is the right decision. Again, wouldn't expect him to be ousting Rodri from the first team on time. But I think he'll be eased in, and perhaps the way that Grealish was eased in.
I wonder if he'll use Phillips I wonder if he'll ever play a game with Phillips and Rodri in centre midfield together just to move De Bruyne 5 yards further forward up the pitch or something. Because one thing City had last season was flexibility with that lack of number 9. If De Bruyne made the run forward and was out of position, say Foden was playing the false 9, Foden could get back in for a couple of minutes. Well, you probably can't really do that with Haaland up front. De Bruyne's going to have to shift back because the guy's a striker now. So I wonder if there'll be some games see that. Also, I wonder if some games we'll see Callum Phillips play centre back alongside Diaz, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's a curveball Pep Guardiola throws this Sunday with Laporte out for a month or so. I wouldn't be surprised if Callum Phillips partners Diaz at centre back, and then they've got that passing guy in the middle of the pitch that can step up and into centre midfield if needs be or something. He's got plenty of experience there, Calvin Phillips, as well. I think it's a really good purchase, really good replacement for Fernandinho for just over 40 million as well. And we bid more than that, according to David Moyes. Now, before these Man City fans, excuse me, we sold more players than that. I'm aware of that. I'm aware we sold a couple of players to Southampton. Your young keeper, I can't remember his name, it's got a Z in it. And then the young centre midfielder, I'm aware. That's what makes Man City good at transfer dealings. You get 10, 15 million for players that you're not going to use in your first team. I mean, they're doing something right at the Etihad. Their net spends like nothing. I think might have even made a profit this summer before purchasing a left back. Anyway, before we talk about the players we admire and if Manchester City will win the title, this video is sponsored by the One Football app, and it's the best way to keep up to date with your club. Doesn't matter if you're a Citizen or a Hammers fan, your club is on there. There's loads of transfer rumours. Like we said, City in the market for a left back, whereas West Ham are in the market for a left back, a left winger, a centre mid, an attacking mid, might need a centre back, might also need another striker. Loads of transfer rumours around both clubs at the minute. It's the best place to keep up to date with all the team news. Managers' press conferences will likely be held tomorrow ahead of this game, so find out what they say on the One Football app. And an hour before kick-off, so 3:30 on Sunday, you'll get a notification on your phone that says, "Oi, lineup's announced." Click it, you get the West Ham team and the Man City team with their likely formation and positionings in the team as well. Best of all, it's completely free. Download it using a link in the description below. Gonzo, one-word answer. Will City win the title this season?
I hope not.
Yes, for me. And lastly, players you admire. Give me one. Give me the player you admire.
Cancelo.
You could do the whole team. Okay, let me change it,
Cancelo.
actually. Let me change it. Big season for Jack Grealish. He's had his season at Man City now. Sterling's out the way. Started on the left wing role against Liverpool last week, which would indicate that he's perhaps sort of seen as the initial first choice in that position for the opening game of the weekend. I'm expecting a big Jack Grealish season this time round.
Yeah, I mean, but it is different. It was a case of Aston Villa handed him the key, said, "Please unlock the door for us." Man City don't need to do that. They're so good. Doesn't matter. Even players, we haven't mentioned someone as good as Mahrez. Bernardo Silva, we've not even spoken about yet. They have these wonderful, wonderful players, and you have to share the love at Man City, and it just can't be the dominating factor. It is for Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish will get what he wants in terms of the medals. What he won't get what he wants in terms of being the main man at Man City, but Man City will feel that they'll get £100 million worth of value out of him because he's an integral part of the team. But he's had to curtail the way he plays. He can't go on these. You can't go on these massive jinky solo runs on Man City because the manager's so intelligent, the players are so intelligent, and so good and so bright that they'll move into positions. There's basically generally somebody in a better position. You better pass it to him, really. Otherwise, Pep will smack your bum. He's
one of my favourite non-West Ham players, actually. The more I hear him speak and what he does, the more I sort of warm to him more and more. He obviously does a lot of good work with charity because of his sister as well. But in the summer, he's in Vegas getting pissed stopped. Do you know something good on you? That's what I like to see. Honestly, I like it. I like to see a player just going and having a bit of fun in his summer holidays. And there's people with phones and cameras and trying to catch him out and stuff. And he's like, take your picture if you want. I'm pissed off. What are you going to do about it? I'm not having a holiday. I like that. And it just... When you hear him speak at the end of last season, it was more in regards to England and Southgate and why he perhaps doesn't perform for England. And it was basically saying, got the shackles on a little bit. I don't just get told to go out there and play. I've got a bit more discipline. And I quite like that, actually. It's refreshing to hear a player be so honest rather than just roll out the cliches, which is a privilege to be part of this squad. Blah. We know you are. It's fair to assume that everybody in England's squad is proud to play for England. I think it's a fair assumption. But it's almost like just a way of giving the media something that they can't catch out on. But I think Jack doesn't necessarily have that filter sometimes. And it might be because he is a little bit daft as a brush at times. Let's face it, he is. You know, when he got asked to point to a map of England, where are you from? He's like, I know. And then he got asked about the encyclopedia of football. And he said, what's an encyclopedia? So he's a bit daft at times. But I quite like that about him. There's just something... Honestly, I think he's like a national treasure, Jack Grealish, and he needs to be protected. But this year on the pitch, I'm expecting big things from him. I expect those shackles to be off. We saw Pep do it with Foden, have the baby reins on a little bit, ease him in bit by bit. And I think he was doing a bit like that with Jack Grealish, which is, like you said, with regards to Haaland, there is a lot of pressure on you, Jack. You were 100 million. I'm going to put you in and I'm going to take you out and I'm going to drip feed you into the team. It's a case of you've been here 12 months now. You're no longer the 100 million pound player. You know, Jack Grealish, you've been here long enough. The pressure's on Haaland. Yep. The pressure's on Darwin Núñez. The pressure's on Gianluca Scamacca. If Wesley Fofana goes to Chelsea for over 70, 80 million, pressure's on him. It's no longer sort of player Cam on Jack Grealish for the season. There's other players now that are in the headlights, and I think he's really going to benefit from that. Anyway, Gonzo, the Premier League's back. Are you pleased?
Oh, really pleased. Really looking forward to it, actually. Yeah, can't wait. Cannot wait. I'm even looking forward to Friday night's game. So I will actually sit down and I will watch Manchester. No, I won't. I will watch Crystal Palace versus Arsenal, or whichever way around it is. I'll be watching that.
Anyway, let's talk about how myself and Gonzo would like to see West Ham line up. Just to repeat, this is how we'd like to see West Ham line up, not what we think David Moyes shall do. Gonzo, formation is the first question, isn't it? We're all wondering what Moyes will do, but what would you like to see us do? Back three or back four for this one?
Back four for me, please, Gio, for this one.
Okay, interesting. Why is that?
Just don't think we have the personnel to play back three. Quite frankly,
okay.
Don't think we've got a left wing back. Don't think we've got enough centre backs. Basically, we've got a centre back injury crisis. I don't think the full backs that he plays at centre back are good enough at playing centre back. Particularly to face Man City, I'd prefer to have two proper centre halves in the middle, and we did all right playing against them, by the way, last season. So, and we had.
Well, see, I think we did a back three that game because Fornals was doing his funny hybrid.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't know how he played. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell where he played, really.
I want to play that thing that we did. I see the back three. So out of possession back three, in possession back four. So I think the Fornals is the hybrid here, and because we haven't quite signed anyone that can play that role, well, I'm giving away who's going to play there in my little team that I'd like to see. But I think, like you said, you cast your mind back to that second last game of the season, final home game of the season. And Man City had a title up for grabs. It's not like they were on the beach or anything. They were bang up for it, and they were in trouble if we'd won that game, and we nearly did. And Fornals was crucial, I felt, in the way that we played, the way that we could transition from defence to attack. So he would go in, and I would keep it as a back three. But let's just skip back to the goalkeeper then, because I think this is where Moyes is going to have to make a bit of a statement to some extent. There's a question mark, who is your number one? And there was a feeling that the guy in goal in the Premier League last season was number one, which was Fabianski, and Areola was sort of seen as the cup goalkeeper. Who would you like to see start on Sunday afternoon?
Well, we're not going to get many chances against Man City. We don't have to ball much, and possibly the most important person to see the attack might well be the goalkeeper, because they will flood forward in numbers, and we're going to have to release that ball really, really quickly to get them on the counter attack. We're not quick enough to allow them even a second to get settled. We basically, that goalkeeper catches the ball, or he comes off his line and grabs the ball. He has to better roll it out really quickly, and we get down that pitch. Fabianski just doesn't do that. So Areola for me.
It's Areola for me as well, because I've got a sort of eye on sort of longevity of the goalkeeping situation here, which is I'd like to see Areola as number one now. But also for similar reasons to yourself, but also different reasons. Your main reason is distribution. Well, I'm going to talk about distribution as well from a different standpoint. And that is where a lot of the time against Man City, the defence is going to get the ball on the edge of their own 18-yarder. And you need as many options as possible rather than just booting it down the park, which often just gives the ball straight back to Man City. You're under pressure again. The only other option is turn and give it to your goalkeeper. And I've got no faith in that happening with Fabianski and goal. And sometimes I don't think the defence do either. They don't utilise him often. Whereas Areola, you even see the difference in pre-season where the defence just give it back to him and he's quite comfortable kicking it first time out to a fullback. He doesn't belt it down the pitch. He just knocks out to Aaron Creswell or whatever. He's just a bit more aware, a bit more comfortable with the ball at his feet. And for that reason, I'd like to see Areola in goal for this one. Now, my back three sort of picks itself, given the lack of centre-backs. Team news as it stands at the minute, we don't know what's going on with Diop. He's been putting cryptic posts up on social media, sort of suggesting he's currently in Toulouse in France, but people don't know what's going on. So I think it's fair to assume that he's unavailable for selection for this game. Ogbonna has been managed carefully by West Ham during pre-season. The latest run-out he had was in the under-21s games, which would suggest he's not available to start this game. Hopefully he'll be on the bench, but that's about as good as you're going to get. But Dawson and Zuma are available, so that's two in my back three. And then I've got a pick between Creswell and Ben Johnson, really. Which one do I think is the better third centre-back, essentially? And I'm going to go for Aaron Creswell because I think he does offer you that crossing from deep that we saw in the pre-season game when Souček scored that header. I think as a left centre-back, weirdly enough, I think he performs fine there. He's got that little bit of protection from Fornals too. So I think I'd opt for Creswell over Ben Johnson for this one. But can I get your back four, please?
Yeah, I'll go with Soufal at right back. I thought about Diop, but we've got too much to lose by including him. Thank you.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna go. I'm laughing at my own joke. It's really sad, isn't it? I'm gonna go with Dawson and Zuma, and I will play Johnson at left back.
I would go Soufal right wing back. I'm quite hopeful for Soufal's season, as everybody knows by now. And then Souček and Rice in the middle pick himself, really. How would you like to line up in midfield?
Line up in midfield. This is a really sneaky one. I've got to be honest with you. I'm going for the bludgeoning methods on this one. So I'm going to go with the triple threat in midfield, which is Souček, Rice, and Flynn Downs.
Big game to put the new boy in for. I assume you'd like to see Flynn Downs sitting in the other two.
I would.
Running forward on the counter attack.
Absolutely would. Yeah, I'd like to get some. I'd like to get some balls into the box. Quite frankly, I think which would be, a really really good thing to do. So yeah, that's what I'd be doing.
And your front three
would be Bowen on the right, Scamacca through the middle, and Antonio on the left.
So I've gone for Bowen, Antonio, and Lanzini. I just don't think. Well, I'm not even convinced Scamacca's available for selection, really. There's some reports today that he's not even going to be in the squad, but assuming he is in the squad, you would start him from the off, would you? Even though he's not had a minute's pre-season.
Yeah, but we're doing what I would do and not what David Moyes would do. I don't think David Moyes making noises that he might not be ready until, I don't know, 2030 or something like that. But yeah, I'd throw caution to the wind on it, quite frankly. I mean, we're buying these players. I'd like to see some new players on the football pitch, really. I think the team need it. It's another reason for including Downs, another reason for including Areola. I think we need to be making a statement to not just the supporters, but the team themselves, saying we're going again, we're improving, there's a new vibrancy about the team. Let's go for this. I don't want to see the same team on the pitch that we finished last season with, basically.
Yeah, the one thing I will say in regards to reports about Scamacca is Moyes does like a massive game of bluff when it comes to sort of player availability. Quite often last season he would say something and West Ham fans knew it was rubbish because we would see the training pictures, but perhaps the opposition, the mainstream media wouldn't necessarily see what we see because they're not that interested in pictures from the training ground, so on and so forth. So I'm cautious about buying into the fact that Scamacca's completely unavailable. I would expect him on the bench at worst, even if he was only 60% fit, because he's not injured, he's just unfit, as in can't last 90 minutes. Well, he can last 20 minutes, surely. He's a professional athlete. I would expect him to be in some sort of condition. There's a difference between fitness and match sharpness, and the only way you're going to get that match sharpness is by playing games. So at least have him on the bench. That is the one concern I've got with my sort of team I'd like to see, in the sense that the 10 outfielders are the exact same 10 that played against Manchester City back in May. So there's no new players in there for me. But with Aguero injured, I'm unconvinced Flynn Downs is ready for the step up yet. I think playing Nottingham Forest next weekend is a completely different question to trying to run around after Kevin De Bruyne on Sunday afternoon. And this team that I've got here performed really, really well against Manchester City in May. So it's not like we got thumped 4-0 or something. It was 2-2. But I felt that we possibly deserved the win in that game. We certainly deserved something. And I don't know, I'm quite looking forward to it. I think that team, it would be a show of faith from David Moyes to say to the players, for the opposite reasons you're saying, give them a lift. I say, give them a vote of confidence, which is you boys are the ones that have done it for 2 years for me. The shirts are yours to lose. But just to warn you, there's a £36 million striker sat on the bench. There's a 10 million centre midfielder sat on the bench that I brought into the club and I intend on using this season. So buck up or you'll be dropped.
That one, yeah. Or the other phrase, yeah.
Anyway, Scamacca, though, you're looking forward to seeing him, hopefully?
I am. I'm getting a train up especially. We'll be banging on. Hey, Moisey ain't got to worry about the players banging on his door if you don't play Scamacca. I'll be banging on his door, asking for me train fare. Yeah, I'm
possibly playing the best team in the league, obviously the champions of England. Is it a good time to play them, though?
Okay, so the other day, chatting to a guy, it's an Arsenal fan, watches our channel, right? Got into one of those conversations. If you're watching this, Akbal, hello. Right now, he said to me, Man City, he said, I think they're there for the taking. So Akbal thinks we can beat them. So I'm going, yeah, I mean, because, he said about the pre-season, he said about, about them looking shaky as well, and it's shaky. I think I just lost to Liverpool, basically.
It's shaky for Man City, though, isn't it?
Shaky
their standards are that high. So
yeah, I guess so. Why not? Why not? The trouble is we don't look particularly ready. They, whatever, by our standards, by their standards, they don't look ready. I'd like to say it's anybody's game, but you know what, Gio? It's only 2 seasons ago. Let's get this right. Where we would do these previews, and I would be expecting a 5-0 loss, and not because I'm sort of glum and that's my general outlook on things. That's because that's what we had been getting from Man City. They've been putting 5 and 6 goals past us, and stuff like that. Remember, what was it? Whatever. Very, very recently, we played them twice in the season, and the aggregate was something like 11-1, right?
I think at one point they'd scored more goals at London Stadium than we did in that season, because they played us in the League Cup, pretty close to each other.
Let's get this right. This is not an even fight. It's not an even contest. I do get it. Man City fans are very sensitive about how much they've spent. They're very evangelical about trying to promote how little they've spent. And I do get it, because there are teams like Manchester United who have probably net spend is a lot higher, and I understand why they do it to Man United, but when it's done to us, it's very hard to plead the pauper to other Premier League, God blimey, governor, gets tuppence and all the rest of it. They're like, they do carry it around like the orphan Oliver with the begging bowl saying, please, sir, can I have some more? They're not. They're a multi-billion-pound club, right? And it is not a fair fight by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, we've bridged that gap between that 5-0 5-0 annual thrashing, and I do say annual and not the other word that's very, very similar, because it felt like that quite frequently. We've bridged that gap, Gio. I think I'm not saying we can beat them, but if we can stay in the game and keep it to 1 goal or something like that, might be a good time to play them.
I think it is a good time. I think home first game of the season, fans will be in good spirits regardless of sort of lack of new players playing. They announced Scamacca started, though. That crowd gets a lift before the ball's even been kicked. They just seem warming up or something like that. I remember when we had Dimitri, and it was a friendly against Juventus. It was meant to be the first game at the London Stadium. It turned out to be the second one because we had a qualifier on the Thursday night. We had to play that first, so it was no longer the first game. But anyway, didn't stop them branding it as that and charging for that. And so the friendly was going on. Dimitri was sort of coming back from an injury. He was on the bench. All he did was come out to warm up. Fans were on their feet, singing his name. There was just a massive lift around the ground, just from a guy just putting a bib on, jogging up and down the touchline. And Scamacca will have that effect. When you see the new 36 million man warming up to come on the pitch, everyone's going to go, here we go. Now we've got somebody to come on that can give us a little bit of excitement. And listen, we've got to play them at some point. Get over and done with, first game of the season. If there's any rustiness there for Man City, it's going to be in this game. They're not in full swing yet. Haaland, his confidence has probably come down a little bit after last weekend because he missed a couple of big chances. He's had a bit of a battering in the mainstream media, as it happens in this country. He played one bad game, suddenly you're a waste of money and stuff. Yeah, so I think it's as good a time as you're going to get to play Manchester City, if I'm honest with you. Are you, I used to say confident, are you optimistic?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, I am. But it's the start of the season anyway. I generally start the season in optimistic mode. So yeah, and it's the first game of the season. I'm looking forward to it. I wouldn't even be doing this. Wouldn't even be going if I didn't. You have to. What's the point? What's the point in just thinking, well, that's it, we're going to lose? I've done too many years of doing that, and I did used to think that against Man City. No, I'd like to think that we can do something. That the players will be fit, that we can offer some sort of threat. And even if we don't have somebody attacking players, just, as I say, perhaps move Souček into a position where he becomes a menace again. We do have the ability to score goals. Antonio's pivotal to this game for us, by the way.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, perhaps. Maybe not optimistic, but I would say hopeful because the games, I'm more worried. This is going to sound mental, but West Ham fans will get what I'm going to say. I'm more worried about Nottingham Forest next weekend than I am about Man City this weekend, because we're expected to win that game. We're not expected to win this one. All the pressure is on them. We struggle against sides that sit back and play deep in that low block side. That's not Manchester City. Manchester City are one of few teams that will come up against us and allow us to play counter-attacking football, where we're probably our most efficient. We just struggle to play like that in most games now because we are not allowed to play like that. So this is one of few games this season we will be able to use Antonio's strength and his power, use the spacing behind defence. That partnership between Antonio and Jared Bowen were buzzing against Man City at the end of last season. And I expect the same. There's a reason Pep Guardiola constantly praises the likes of Mikel Antonio, because he probably fears him. He probably thinks that's a striker that's going to put Nathan Ake on his arse at some point on Sunday afternoon. They don't have Laporte. They're missing a huge player on Sunday afternoon. I think we will. I feel quite confident we will score. We've looked quite miserable during pre-season. There's been a lot of indicators that we're not ready to rock and roll from the start of the season. But like I said, a large part of that is lack of creativity. On Sunday, I don't think we'll see that. We know the boys will give 100%. We know defensively we will be hard to break down. It's just a case of, can we then pose enough threat at the other end of the pitch? And I think we'll pose an adequate threat to score one goal. The question is, can we stop City scoring more than us? So can I get any final words from yourself, please, Gonzo, as well as your all-important score prediction?
Oh, score prediction. No, you know what? It's the start of a season, and there's still a lot of transfer window to go. I would have liked to have business to have been done a little bit earlier. That being said, he did sign 2 players. It just seems that one of them's injured and one of them's not fit. But there you go. Such is the way at West Ham. I'm also looking forward to seeing those City players. I think the City are a quality outfit. I think they've got quality fans as well, by the way. There's always been a good vibe between the two sets of fans, which is not like you go into the stadium, you're going to play Tottenham and you've got to sort of be on your toes and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, mate. I'm not going to start off with a loss of a prediction. I feel that's the wrong way to start the season. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 again.
2-2 again. 2-2, Desmond.
Desmond.
You're going for it. Yeah, I'm feeling all right as well, actually. Listen, we would have liked to have seen more signings. We'd have liked to see new signings starting on Sunday. So we're probably not going to have any. And that's going to be a little bit disappointing. But you've got to then try and look at the positives of that. Well, there's no excuses. There's no, well, he hasn't quite settled in yet. There's none of that there. Whereas with Man City one, Haaland hasn't quite settled in yet. He's getting to grips. We don't have that excuse. No, sorry. They have been together. The bulk of that team that will start on Sunday that we've gone through has played together for the last 2 years under David Moyes, back-to-back 6 and 7 finishes in the Premier League. So there's no reason why we should not be ready for Sunday afternoon, actually. I expect us to be at it from the off. I expect us to make it really difficult for Man City. I expect anybody that was a little bit worried after what we've seen in pre-season, and I include myself in this in regards to some player performances and overall performances with lack of creativity, I have an element of suspicion to some extent. I'm a little bit concerned with some things. Not everybody. Benrahma and Fornals in particular, I've been looking at pre-season thinking, I would have liked to see a little bit more just to get me a bit more excited to see them. But if we can just sort of put in a good performance on Sunday, get something from the game in terms of points, then it'll just ease those. Well, pre-season will be forgotten about. However, should we get a bit of a hiding and the players that are worried us in pre-season play crap, it'll just sort of delay the sort of, do you know what I mean? The doom and gloom will carry on. Then it's like, we'll be doing our preview next week going, season starts here against Nottingham Forest. But do you know something? I'm feeling quite confident in regards to a few things. Like I said, the work ethic and stuff. So I'm going to say West Ham United 1, Manchester City 1. Yes.
Can I just say, please, if you are a season ticket holder, get your season tickets downloaded now. Do it now. I didn't find it an easy thing to do at all. And get in the stadium early. Yeah, he found it. Basically, if you're used to paying for things on your phone, you're going to find it easy. Okay, I'm not. If you're the type of person, if like me, you're the type of person that hands your phone to your children and say, "Can you download this? Can you sort this out?" You're probably going to struggle with this new e-ticketing. So get there, get it downloaded early. Ask your children, basically, get into the stadium early because I think there might be queues.
He's got an issue with his season ticket, but he's got no issue logging into Tinder, does he? That's
quite right too. Quite, but I don't ask my children to do that for me. I tell you what.
But if you enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to the Hannah's chat. Gonzo's going on Sunday, but we'll be live at 3:25, 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. So 3:25 will be live on this channel with our build-up show. Hannah look at both lineups. Charlie will be doing the watch along, then we'll have a live review after, and then Gonzo will have his review from the match as well. So if you're not going, 3:25 on this channel. We'll see you then.